Hello, people of the internet. Welcome to TK is Outlandish. I am your host, I guess, Teresa. I am the TK of the TK is Outlandish, and that's my husband Ryan on the other side of the screen.
Hi again, everyone.
And if you are returning, thanks for coming back. If you're new here, so I take a look at Outlander through the eyes of someone who's read the books. And then I ask Ryan what he thinks as someone who has not read the books. That's basically it.
Yeah, that's
We're running,
basically it.
I feel like we're running a little bit late on this episode, but it seemed to be so much easier when the shows were on Sunday. I don't know why, but we usually did record on Tuesdays, but it was fine because it was like we watched it Sunday, digested it. I digested it like Monday and recorded Tuesday. And now that it's like Friday, it's like so screwed up.
Yeah, because it's staying late on a Friday. I don't know. I'm old.
Yeah. No, it's staying late on a Thursday because we watch it
Sorry,
in the
Thursday. Yeah, that's what I meant.
yeah, that's even worse. We're both old. But anyway, so getting into it. Oh, before we get into it, Ryan, what whiskey are you drinking this time?
Oh, I am having a Scotch. Glen Glassaugh. It's quite good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Highland Scotch that's peated, which is different. So it's quite good.
I'm just having water. No Sassenach for me this time. Maybe next time. All right, so we're gonna go over Outlander episode 5, Singapore, written by Taylor Mallory and directed by Tracy Deer. And this episode, I'm actually going to kind of go through it rather quickly. There's two scenes that I really wanted to digest more because I think they were great examples of how something was written in the book, and I thought it would be played out on TV, and it was not. And I'm going to ask Ryan if he thinks it would have worked out. If he thinks they had to change it because it wouldn't have worked. Um, on the screen like the way it worked in the book. So, but really quickly, just a recap. So Claire and Jamie are at Fort Ticonderoga, and Bree started working at the dam. I can't remember. I think it's Lake Akarlaki or something. I can't remember the name
I
of
don't
the
know the
lake.
name of it.
Dam. But she started working there as the inspector, and they gave her some trouble, and they locked her in a tunnel. And then, William and Rachel and Denny had a little bit of an adventure, and then Ian found out he probably has a son. So that's basically it, right?
Yeah, it was a kind of roller coaster of an episode.
I still think I thought there would be more action actually. Um, I said like last episode was kind of there wasn't a lot of action. I think it was a lot of character building and building up to action. This one had more action, but I still think the next episode will have more. I thought this episode would end on a cliffhanger, and it did not. So maybe next. I just feel like there's a cliffhanger episode coming soon. Because
We
there's
don't have that
only
many left. So what? We got like
exactly there's only 3 episodes left. I'm
so
wondering if
you're
they're
like a
gonna,
like 1 in 3 chance of being right. So you got good
yeah.
odds.
I'm wondering if they're even gonna get to Scotland by the end of season 7, part A. So we'll see.
I don't know. I don't think so. It's not trending that way.
I I wonder if they'll like be going. They'll like end it on the ship going to Scotland, kind of how season 1 ended.
Yeah, that would
So
make sense.
so okay, so let's throw up the first picture.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the graveyard that Bree goes into. It's supposed to be the graveyard at Lollybrock, and this is supposed to be. Is this supposed to be the graveyard at Lollybrock? That is this graveyard at Lollybrock in season 1. Like, never mind the color differences. I know that I heard them on production that they do it on purpose to show the different frames of time, but like I understand if they over 200 years they kind of built up this graveyard, and but the first one where that's Jenny, she's walking on top of a hill to see Jamie. The graveyard's on top of a hill, which is how it's I think it's how it's explained in the book. And this is just like, is this supposed to be the same graveyard? Because I mean, what do you think, Rye?
I didn't see. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. If it is the same graveyard, I mean, the production team's been pretty good about consistency. I'd be very surprised if it was the same graveyard and they didn't make it look better.
I hear our cat
Yeah, yeah.
saying hello. She might make an appearance, or a she might voice her opinion. Um, and the only other thing I had to say about the scene before we talk about what I really want to talk about is I have Ryan. I had said to Ryan, I have a hard time. Like they didn't read any of Jamie and Claire's letters for 2 years. They got this box 2 years ago and they didn't read it. And Brian, you thought that they were, but then they acted like they didn't. And I
Yeah,
know that the catalyst was supposed to be, oh, Jemmy and Mandy were playing, and Jemmy said something about Jamie being there, and that was like the catalyst. But I have a really hard time believing that they didn't read any letters for 2 years.
that sounds absurd to me. I didn't believe it. I refused to believe it. And then this episode, yeah, they kind of said like, "Hey, we guess should we read another letter?" I forget exactly
Yeah.
what they said, but they said something to the effect of like, "Oh, we haven't read another letter since that first one they read 3 episodes ago."
Yeah. And that's why the other thing that's driving me crazy about this timeline is so hard to like understand to begin with. And like I said, in the book, they don't get the letters for 2 years, and they start reading that. I do not know. I don't know the reason why that they got the letters. That Fiona got the letters when Mandy was a baby. When in the book they got them when she was about 2. But I'm gonna let it go for now. But that really bothered me. Um, oh, and I just wanted to say with the attack that um, William and Denny and Rachel encountered while they were staying on the road, I kind of wonder if they were going to include that, but I think they need to establish like a relationship between Rachel and William. Is that the sense that you got?
A little bit. I'm not really sure what purpose that served, other than kind of they were talking about just earlier uh, on the road about, oh well, you can afford to be pacifists. You don't have to kill anybody because someone else will do the killing for
Mm-hmm.
you, and that is exactly what came to pass. Um, and William was not too thrilled about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
And there was also that moment where Denny said to Rachel as she was watching William, like, he's a soldier. Like, almost like that hint that you seem to have feelings for him. Like, that's what I got from that.
yeah, yeah, a little bit. I mean, I got that a little bit from them, but not too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I read it differently. And I read it differently in the book, too. I read it as, like, um, at least Denny thought maybe Rachel had some kind of feelings for him. And that's why he said, he's a soldier. He's a violent man or whatever. Okay. So, anyway, moving on. Okay, so this is one of the scenes I really wanted to get into.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this one. I was like, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
So when Bree is trapped in the tunnel and she encounters the vapor, I guess we were calling it like the vapor, which so in the book, when she gets trapped in the tunnel, they actually steal her keys and she can't open the lights. So there are no lights, and she gets in this little motorized train that they had used, to go up and down the dam and when they were digging the dam. And she's buzzing along, not very fast, but she's buzzing along. And all of a sudden she hits something and she knows immediately um, that she has passed some kind of time traveling portal. She actually is worried that she jumped and she didn't know. But I was thinking about this too because in the book they describe traveling through these portals, I guess, like that there's like screaming in your ears and it feels like your body's being ripped apart molecule by molecule. Like it's this horrible, horrible feeling. And I was thinking about it, and did they really emphasize that in the TV show, do you think, Rye?
No, not what none whatsoever. They make
Okay.
it seem like it's just a mild inconvenience to gather some gemstones to travel through. Like that's the only inconvenience.
Yeah, that maybe that's why too, because there I said that there were two reasons why they would have had to change how it was in the book. And the first one is you can't, I mean, it's supposed to be in the book, it's pitch black when she's traveling. You can't have 5 minutes of pitch black on a TV screen and
You can't have like
like obviously.
you can't have 30 seconds of pitch black. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess the other reason is because they don't have the they don't have the description of it like in the book. And so bring up the other picture.
Okay, so we're talking about both of them now.
Yes. So I think that they put this vapor up to remind us of this is the pool of water back in season 3 when Galus Duncan was around and tried to go through time to get to Bree and Claire. And like as I was watching this, the scene from season 3 again, Claire says, it's at this time I realized that the portal was the water and the water was kind of glowing, but I kind of had that sense that it was magical. But there's also, I mean, there's lakes and pools of water in the Caribbean, other parts of the world, where you can have a kind of a bioluminescence because of plant life that's kind of glowy that has the bioluminescence. You can have animals that can give out that glow. So it wasn't to me like necessarily like, oh, it's glowing because you can travel through time
No, I
in
did
it.
get that sense. I very much did get the sense that like that pool was the portal because it was glowing.
Okay. Okay. So see, we have um two different opinions on that, but do you think that they had the vapor thingy because to remind us of the pool back in season 3?
I guess they almost had to, just
Because
because
there's no stones there.
right because there's no stones. Although I would say that I think the buzzing would have been enough for us to realize that something was going on.
Mm-hmm.
We've been trained pretty well at this point to understand that like loud buzzing means time travel.
Mm-hmm.
So all they really needed was loud buzzing sound. It's not like there's it's not like she stumbled across a cave of murder hornets. It's like she's in the middle of a dam. Like there's nothing that's going to be buzzing down there. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It-
I think. Although now seeing this kind of in open air,
mhm.
like it's really bringing out the the sci-fi time travel guy in me. I just I'm looking at this. And I'm like, okay, what does this mean now? Because it's just open space that is apparently
Mhm.
a portal. It's not a pool of water and it's not a stone. So apparently there are just three-dimensional coordinates in space around the world that just if you happen to be have a gemstone on you and you walk through one of these spaces, bloop, there you go.
Um, and that's what I had said to you earlier that Roger's kind of like when they kind of hinted at him writing this book for Jemmy and Mandy, and they're kind of theorizing that there are parts of in the world that this happens and it's not the stones themselves but it's marked by the stones. So I don't know, someone's just walking, like a group of people are walking along one day and all of a sudden someone just like disappears. They're like, oh, we should put a stone there to let people know. Like
That
you just
yeah, that actually kind of makes
weird.
me. Various fantasy and sci-fi books and medium have ley lines as kind of these.
That's what he called them
Wait, what?
in the book. Roger calls them ley lines.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's a
L
pretty
L E Y L
yes
E Y
ley line.
lines. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Is that like a real scientific theory, or is that just like is that like a science fiction thing?
It's largely like a fantasy metaphysical thing. Basically, there are lines of power that transect the Earth. They are in various just latitudes and longitudes. They circle around. They move around. But they don't move around, but they just kind of are around, and they represent kind of just streams of energy.
Okay, yeah. I'm so glad you told me that because that part of the book I was reading, I'm like, what are they talking about? Like, I really don't care about this.
That's
Like,
actually that's interesting that you did use that particular. I had no
yeah.
idea. Okay, that's really cool. That's
Mhm.
she's because I kind of have very little faith in Diana to ever actually explain this stuff to us. Um, but knowing that
Uh,
Roger is writing this down, I really want to see what Roger's writing down too. I want him to like kind of go.
I'll have to look it up and like point. I'll have it jumps all around in the book, so I'll highlight them and you can read the parts where he writes about.
So what I'm picturing from this is now time traveling portals are yeah like 3 dimensional spots that you can go to. They can be inside of a mountain. They can be on top of a mountaintop. They can be in a pool of water. Um, the stones, I think you said this. The stones themselves aren't. And we're just theorizing here. The stones themselves aren't the portal. The stones were put onto the spot that contained the portal, and
Hmm.
by just touching the stone, you touch just kind of the edge of the portal and jump if you're one of the ones who can jump. Um,
Hmm. Because
and
not everyone can do it.
yeah, and we remember seeing in episode was it episode 1 or sometime in season 1 we saw um, like the ancient people erecting the stones.
No, that was no, that was episode one, season four.
Okay, well we saw it at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, my
Are
memory
you
is great.
impressed that I
Great.
remember the exact episode and scene or season?
I knew there was a 1 in there somewhere. Anyways, I can see. I don't know how many Neanderthals or ancient people walked around with gemstones in their hand. Um,
Well, it didn't have to necessarily be gemstones because remember Ottertooth had the opal, so it could have been like
well,
precious.
sure, yeah, any precious rock, but I mean, I don't know how many people are cracking open geodes and grabbing gemstones and wearing them around that would be able to, you know, find out where this uh, where the portal is, and they could then erect a monolith on it.
Mhm. It's surprising to me that you said like the vapor and like the sci-fi aspect of it because the other reason why I was kind of surprised about the vapor thing was um Ron Moore, Ronald D. Moore, the
Yeah,
guy who like started Outlander. He specific. I don't know if you remember this or not. When we were watching one of the podcast, we were watching one of the episodes, listening to the podcast, and he said he specifically didn't want to show them traveling through the zones because he didn't want like that aspect of the special effects. So I'm actually kind of well, he's not. I don't think he's involved with the show anymore. Just his name's on it. So I was kind of surprised that this aspect was in it. But then I guess I don't know. Did they have to show it? You said you would have known just by the buzzing. So
I would have strongly suspected, and they would have had to have proven me otherwise. They would have had to have shown something else for me to believe it wasn't a time travel portal just by saying buzzing. I'm sorry,
and I'm
I say
oh,
saying buzzing. We watch it with the captions on, so we
oh
see
yeah,
it say buzzing across the bottom.
right, right.
But I would have
Um,
heard the buzzing, which we know is now very tied with stone travel. So
yes. Um, I was just gonna say something. Now I can't remember what it was. Something about the buzzing. The I can't remember. Something about the buzzing, something about the ley line, something. No.
We can jump back if we need to. We got a lot more stuff to cover. So
Yep. Okay, keep going.
I
So,
would love to sit and theorize about time travel and the physics of it. Um, and
oh, I know what it was.
oh, there we go.
I'm really surprised that Bree didn't mention this to Roger. Like, oh, and by the way, while I was in the
Yeah,
tunnel, I found like a time portal, another
yeah,
one.
that's kind of a big deal. You know, whenever you find, because remember
Yeah,
in the past episodes when they found like the portals elsewhere,
yeah.
it was like, you know, it was like eyes bugging out, like, oh, there's a portal around here. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Although I think in the book she like doesn't tell him either for like quite a while. I really thought she did, but I was like flipping through and I couldn't find it. So, I again, I'm surprised that they didn't read the letters for 2 years. I'm surprised she didn't tell Roger.
I tell,
Anyway, next
I
picture.
tell you, I found another time portal. I'd definitely tell you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Good to know. Wait, what do you mean another? Did you find one?
No, we already traveled through time 4 or 5 times. Now we found the ones in Ocracoke, and you know, I'm just saying, if I were them, and
I
I were
know.
Bree, and I found another portal, I would tell you.
Oh, okay,
That's
thanks.
important information to share with your spouse. That's all.
It is. It is. All right, so next picture. So what I just had wanted to say about this scene real quick was Ian and Claire explaining to Ian, I don't know why they didn't say like it's not just Isabel that they lost. Like Emily had 2 or 3 miscarriages after um Isabel died. So it was more than just losing one child, which you could tell Claire was kind of thinking about Faith when she said, women lose children all the time. You don't know, but Ian did have more of a reason to think there was something wrong with him beyond them saying his spirit wasn't strong enough or whatever. Like she had several miscarriages. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. We can move on.
Okay. I will have to say, at least because we're not going to see Ian in any other pictures here, I'm really digging Ian's new war outfit.
Yes, it is nice.
I love all the accoutrements, the dark maroon sleeves. A plus, man. I still love Ian. Gotta say that every time. I'm an Ian fanboy.
So from Ian going to see, this is the look Emily gives when he's like, can I meet your son? And that's the look of
Oh goodness.
well, okay, so this is the other scene that I wanted to say is in the book and plays out very differently from the book on TV. And like now that I reread it, I'm like, well, maybe I read it different, but I don't think of it worked in the book as it did in the TV show. So in the book, um, Ian has like no idea that this could be a son. There's no mention that he looks like him. In fact, he says he has Emily's hands and I forget what else. Um, but in the book, Emily's also not married to what's his name again? You say his name right.
Kohlutin? Kohlutin.
Yes, yes. She's not married to him. She's married to Sun Elk, who is kind of plots to take Emily, and there's like all this tension before Ian leaves. So when so when so when the sun comes up, when Emily's son comes up to Ian, and you're like, oh, that kid's white. Like,
Like there wasn't really much doubt.
yeah,
As soon as the camera faded over to or panned over to him, I was like,
right,
so that's Ian's son, obviously.
yeah, right. So
And
yeah,
Ian's reaction wasn't really what I thought it would be. Like
yeah,
Ian, very, oh, I guess that's my kid. Like
yeah.
I would have had a much stronger reaction.
Mhm. Maybe held it back for the sake of the kid.
That's very possible. He's he's a disciplined guy. I could see it. So yeah, that's a possibility, probability actually.
Um, my other question is, okay, so if it would have played how I thought it played in the book, and there wasn't like the indication that this was Ian's son, physically, if there wasn't like the physical mention of it, would you? Okay, so then the kid says, "My grandmother says I'm the son of your spirit, but don't tell my father." Oh, I think he would know. Like that line is in the book, but I'm thinking like maybe you should have taken it out on the show because I would think it's fairly obvious.
As a
Like,
kid, I don't, I don't know. I think it's okay as
no, I'm saying no, not as a kid. I'm saying like don't tell my father. I think your father knows.
oh,
I don't think you need this. I don't think you. If your grandmother said don't tell your father, I don't know if that's was necessary because I don't. Yeah, but here. Okay, so here's my question. So if it would have played that um swiftest of lizards did not look like Ian, but he said my grandmother says you're the I'm the son of your spirit. Do you think
of the it was a I'm the son of my father's spirit.
no. If they would have said my grandmother said that I'm the son of your spirit, of Ian's spirit.
Okay.
Okay. Do you think that people watching TV would be like, oh, yes, just accept that? If the grandmother says it, yeah, it must be true. Or do you think that they needed like that physical? Do you think they needed Ian's son to look like him?
Yes, I think so. TV is a
Okay.
visual, and we're expecting to be shown these kind of things. I think.
Hmm. And even when I read the book, I was like, oh, so you're just gonna be like, oh, okay, I'll accept that. Like, oh, well, okay, if the grandmother says it, then it must be true, you know. I mean, my Auntie Claire says all these things and she's from the future and she knows about things called genetics, but if you say that this is my son of my spirit, then I'm just gonna accept it. So that was that those were the two. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to say was when Emily tells Ian, I want you to name him. So when he walks in that world or your world or whatever, is there a indication that there's going to be a time where her son's going to not just interact with that world, but like be in that, like live in the world outside of the Mohawk? Do you know what I mean? Not beyond just trading or whatnot.
I didn't take it as that. I took it as more the former. Um,
Okay.
the Mohawk interact with the white people on a consistent basis, and that him being more white would have an easier time interacting with that world. And to facilitate that, a white person's name would be appropriate.
I think it's kind of funny. It's like your name is Ian James. So we have William James, we have Ian James. Everybody has the middle name James.
It's a good name. James is a good name, I say.
It is a good name.
Yeah.
um, so I just wanted to say you can go to the next picture.
Okay.
So that's Denny and Claire, and I just wanted to say that what was his first name? Woodcock, the guy, the black dude who had to get his leg amputated.
Oh.
I forget his first name. Oh, anyway,
Yeah.
keep him in mind. He's kind of a combination of two characters. The leg amputation actually happens on a character named Captain Stebbins, who is involved with. I had mentioned before that they skipped over a lot. Like the boat they go to take to New Haven gets. I think first they try a man of war comes upon him and they try to press him into service and there's pirates and oh I'm so glad that they skipped it. But one of the characters is an English subject. He's in the English Navy, I guess. He's the one that gets his leg amputated. So when they leave him, when they have to leave him, when they evacuate, he's like, "Oh, it's fine because I'm an English prisoner." So so it's a little different. But keep Mr. Woodcock. Remember Mr. Woodcock. And the only thing that I had wanted to say about Denny was I had said this in the previous episode where Denny goes to cut off William's arm, and that's how William gets the rosary, which I said he's gonna have to. That's gonna be like a major prop in a future episode, so he has to get that rosary. But the fact that like Denny is like, yeah, we gotta cut off your foot, but we're not sure if we cut off at the ankle or the knee because he has this aneurysm, and he's open to Claire saying like, "Oh, you're a woman doctor, boil these instruments." Okay, but like 2 episodes ago, you saw William's arm and was like, "Take out the saw," like, and I feel like that that they almost I don't want to say sacrifice Denny's character, but they had him do something uncharacteristic for the sake of getting that plot point of getting the rosary to William. What do you think about that?
So, which is the uncharacteristic part of him? The part where
Him taking out the saw, I think, because like now, um, because okay, so you could argue that oh maybe he was like that, but then when he was at the fort, he was more open to whatever. But we know he studied in England to a relative who was like the queen's doctor or whatever. So he knows the modern he knows the modern doctoring of the time. So he so so it's like I feel like he's presented as like a more progressive doctor, and he's not. I don't think he would be the type of doctor to look at a wound and not say like, "Oh, it's an abscess. Let's check if we can like get the abscess out before we chop off your arm." But that's what they did. That's what they had them almost do. Does that
yeah,
make sense?
yeah. I mean, it did feel it might be a little bit forced when you put it like that. Um, but I don't know if I've seen enough of his character in like the doctoring world to really make that call. Because
Mm,
maybe he looked at the abscess and he's like, oh, abscess, gotta come off.
mm.
Um, but whenever Claire interjected, I mean, that was just adding extra stuff to what he was already suggesting. It wasn't saying something different for him to do.
I guess so. Maybe I just look at it that way because I read the books, and that's how I know his character to be. As though I know all the time, in the podcasts are like the books are the books, and the TV show is the TV show. I just feel like they changed like his character a little bit just to get the plot point of getting the rosary to William. But that's just my opinion.
That's possible.
Um, and okay, so just 2 more points. Oh, that's not bad. We're good on time. So let's do the next picture. So we have okay. So here's Roger outside. There's the caravan. In episode 1, the contractor or builder or whoever he was said something to the effect of the kids sleeping in the caravan for 2 years because the upstairs are being made. I don't know if they're all sleeping in the caravan or if it's just the kids sleeping in the caravan because they don't have a bedroom. But Roger says, "Oh yeah, I think there's someone around." The Nuck Levy, "Oh, I think it actually might be a person hanging around because I saw garbage outside or whatever." Okay, so are your kids still sleeping outside in the caravan if you think there's someone like creeping around your property? Right?
Yeah. And I also have a problem with, Roger and Bree both being like, there's these possible millions of dollars that, you know what? We don't really need it. It's fine. We have and it's fine.
Yeah, right. I have to say though, also in the book that Roger and Bree are having like more marital problems than they are in the series, because Roger, when he gets hung or almost hung, in season 5, it actually affects his voice basically for the rest of his life. That's like a lot of stuff that doesn't carry over into the TV show. Like I've said this before, like Jamie never gets over what Black Jack Randall does. He still has nightmares. Claire still has flashbacks. Roger has lasting effects from being hung. And there's kind of like, I don't gloss over it, but it was just kind of like, oh, we'll lead it to this and then it's over, you know? So, but Roger like doesn't know if he should be a minister. Also, he can't talk, so there's that. Um, and then the last scene. Oh, well, there's one more thing I wanted to say about the Nucklevy, which I didn't really cover last episode because I figured I was like, that storyline's gonna carry over at least one more episode. I think we'll have an answer to that next episode. But anyway, so there's Bree talking to the cairn that's Jemmy had built for Jamie, and I think it's supposed to harken back to Claire talking to the stone on the field of Culloden in the last episode of season 2. And is that what it reminded you of, Rye?
If I would have
I
remembered,
mean, do you even remember Claire doing that at the end of season 2?
well, once I saw the picture, I did, but no, I do not remember that.
All right. Well, for those of us who know the book, well, actually, this doesn't have. Wait, does it happen in the book? Oh my goodness! Now I can't remember. I don't think it does. But for those of us who've watched the episodes, 3 and 4 times over, I'm sure that this reminded us of that scene, and I'm sure they wanted the audience to harken back to that.
I mean, yes. Now that I've seen the picture, yes, it makes sense that that would be that does look like what they're doing.
So we had
I
like 2 callbacks in this episode. We had the glowy vapors, and then we had the like gravestone.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of callbacks here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there was one other thing I forgot to mention, that Jamie shooting the cannon to see how far it went reminded me of Jewel going out to the swamp to see how far the rifles could shoot.
Yep, I remember that. That was a good scene too. Both of them actually. I liked Jamie's interaction with the with the military, not the general, but the Frenchman.
Mm-hmm. I honestly can't say too much about how that compared to in the book, because I apologize, and I've said this over and over again. Seven, book 7 was such a hard read. I know some of our subscribers have said in the comments that like they really like that part of it because they're really into like military history and stuff. And I can see that. I'm not there. I'm just like, please, for the love of God, can we get to something? Um so yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. Any potential spoilers that are coming up, I think it's quite obvious that the Knuckle is something. It's not just something that Jenny made up.
I mean,
Um,
last scene was the Nucklevy hiding in the bushes, or something was looking through
oh yeah, I
the
I missed that
bush.
the first time I watched it. Like the viewpoint was something watching Roger.
Right, right.
So I missed that the second time I watched it. I caught that. So yeah, it's something. So I think we will find out what that
Okay.
something
Yeah,
is,
spoil it. I don't
or
even know
someone,
for me yet.
next episode.
All right, looking forward to that one.
All right, I think that's all we have to say. So thanks for sticking around, and we will see you next episode. All right, thanks for
Sounds great.
watching.
Have a good one, everyone.